G'day guys and welcome to X-Plane. My name is Lindemann and this is the Cessna C210T Centurion. It's basically like a 172, the Skyhawk. It's got retractable landing gear, bit of a turbocharger on the engine, and I am currently in Chiang Mai, I think, airport in Thailand. I've just crossed over the mountains from Burma, and before that I was in Bangladesh. It's been a long time taking a break from X-Plane because of patches and updates to this aircraft. I've also had a couple of issues with the hardware on this computer, so I've upped the RAM and the RAM speed, hoping that'll make some nice differences with the frame rate. So I'm just going to check what is what with everything. All looks good to go. I'll turn on some lights like that, and I want the dashboard, please. Maybe that one. There we go. Alright, we've got the front panel lit up. I just picked up another job. I've done quite a few jobs which haven't actually been paid work. I've just been transporting the aircraft around, and I started in the UK, and I am taking this aircraft to Australia because that is where the virtual airline is for Flight Simulator Economy. I've got the plugin for X-Plane 10 for Flight Simulator Economy. It's basically a free website where you can pick up jobs and money, buy planes, do all sorts of charter airline business. So I've got 5 crates. You can't see them, but there's 5 crates in my aircraft, which is a bit funny. And I've got a lot of time. This is my aircraft, so I'm basically transporting it around the globe. Okay, so let me just pull up my little flight plan. I'll do that in a separate window. Flight Simulator Economy .net. Log in. There's my flight. So I'm going to VTUK. We'll just do it direct to. Oops. And I'll go back to VT. U. Go Concan, we'll enter that in, set that as our navigation reference. We'll get the autopilot desired heading around to runway heading. We'll set an altitude. We are going 122 degrees, which is so slightly off to the left. We'll get up to say 12,000 feet for the flight. And I think that pretty much sets us in a good position to get up and running. We'll set the RPM to full for takeoff, mixture to rich, select the fuel tank with the most fuel, get 1 degree of flaps down, 10 degrees. We will not worry about anti-ice. It is early morning. What time is it? It's about 20 to 6. I'm not going to use the air traffic control. I'll turn off the parking brake, give the engine a bit of a run-up test. Okay, might actually just pull out the mixture very slightly. Looks good. Release it there, and also we've got to compensate quite a bit for the torque from the engines twisting the airframe, so I'm putting quite a bit of right. Alright, so the sun has come up considerably. You can see off to the left that kind of hazy, murky morning we have here in X-Plane World of Thailand. If we look around, we can can see there's an airfield under us. I am at 12,000 feet, so I think the terrain is quite high here. We're certainly coming over some mountains, so I might need to adjust my altitude as I fly. Visual approach towards this location. I'd like to point out the fact that everything here, apart from the aircraft, is completely default. So I've not got any lighting mods, any terrain packs, any airports, any HDR, this, that, the other. This is what X-Plane 10 looks like. I mean, it's not as good as spending hundreds of dollars on modding other flight sims like Flight Simulator, was it FSX, Flight Simulator 10. You can get some pretty good detail there, but the frame rate is awesome for what you get, and yeah, it's pretty good quality. So there's always the debate about whether it's time to shift to X-Plane. Certainly can't answer that question because I made the shift a long time ago. But yeah, some of the benefits are that out of the box you get some nice features, and you don't have to go through lots and lots of different vendors to get something heavily modified that kind of pretends to be a current release. But that's it, X-Plane is a fairly small enterprise compared to other gaming simulation software packages out there, so there's long delays between patches, and it seems that issues take forever to get fixed, but I'm pretty happy with it overall, and I can't wait to see where X-Plane 10 goes in the future. Certainly wish they had a lot more customers, they had a lot more money, so we had a lot more resources. So if you are thinking about making a move, please do, as it might help me indirectly as well. So from home you can see the sun has now pretty much totally come up, and looking around you can see the clouds. We've got the cloud level only set to 30%, but even at 30% volumetric clouds are looking a lot better than they used to, where I had them pretty much on 10%. And if I ran clouds too high, then the clouds would be, the frame rate would just be absolutely tanked. It's 20 frames a second, so I'm getting about 50-60 frames a second. Clouds up to about 30%. It really comes down to GPU power. I've got the GTX 680 4GB of video RAM by EVGA. It's not the best video card in the entire planet by any stretch, but it's good enough to do the job. I didn't go SLI, so I don't have two video cards strapped together or anything silly like that. I'm not sure if most simulators are really optimized for supporting multi-core as best they can, particularly because most of them are legacy engines, and SLI is something that requires DirectX optimization, so NVIDIA and AMD have to write the drivers, I think, in a certain way to really support the title, which they're not really going to do for quite minor titles like flight simulators. They'll do things like Battlefield 4 and stuff like that. So SLI, I haven't really delved into it. I did look at a benchmark test for another platform I play, Arma 3, and apparently SLI is the best thing to go for. But it's very early in the release of Arma 3, and that might be just because Arma 3 still has a lot of work to do. There's a lot of content that isn't in there. They're still tweaking lots of stuff, so it might not really be a good time to go out and buy an extra video card to slap in your case just because the software isn't really, or the drivers aren't really supported too well. So yeah, using the 680, you can see the clouds are looking not totally realistic, but certainly there's a lot more detail to them with a little bit of higher settings, and they are volumetric, so they are not 2D sprites that shift to face towards you no matter where you are. They're actually proper 3D clouds. Okay, so we are half an hour away from our destination. 94 miles, 12,000 feet. I can see just over this ridge in front of us, I think there's a lowlands somewhere out there, 93 miles away is our destination. I'm going to do a hook around to the right, descend down to about 2,000 feet for the final approach on runway. Runway is heading about 30 degrees. It's an asphalt runway, so should be fairly easy landing, and it's a single runway airfield, so not much choice to be had. But there we go. So you can see it kind of does look like, that kind of hilly, tropical, very green terrain that I would expect. I'm using real weather, so this is pulling in real weather from the internet to populate the clouds and the conditions, temperature, all that sort of thing is realistic. So pretty much flying in as it is, including the visibility. I remember Thailand being quite hazy. So yeah, quite happy with this part of the trip, flying through Southeast Asia on my way to Australia. Alright, so we are getting ready to make our descent. Initially I'm going to drop it down to say 7,000. So I'll do that like so, set vertical speed to not much more. That new altitude, so it will engage altitude hold when we hit 7,000. I'm just going to pull the engines back, and we can save on the fuel on the way down. We are 26 minutes away from the destination, so it's going to be a bit of a stepped approach as we step down through the altitude. I'm just checking the terrain. I don't have any real charts or detail on what exactly we're heading towards. The airfield altitude is about 500-600 feet, so that's what I'm going off in terms of my approach, and it's going to pretty much be visual flying. Looking out the windshield, see if we can see it. If I really need it, I am pretty sure I have ILS available. Just check that. So charts, I've got no ILS, so yep, totally visual approach on the runway. So conditions don't look too bad for that though. So, and when we get to about 20 miles away, I'll start the hook around to the right and get onto the legs of the approach to bring it around for our approach, which is 30 degrees, which is about a 90-degree left turn from our current heading. So I don't really need to hook around to the right apart from getting the separation to do the final. And we'll just continue on from here. I think everything is looking pretty good. I'll using one fuel tank which has got the lesser amount of fuel, so I'll flick that over to the left-hand wing fuel tank. Preparation for landing. And we'll get the RPM up to takeoff and landing, and the mixture to rich as required, which it pretty much is right now. I could lean it off, but I don't really need to. And that's pretty much it. So it's about 10 to 7 in the morning, and we'll be on the ground in approximately 24 minutes, so probably be on the ground about 10 past to 7 in the morning. Alright, so we are at 7,000 feet, flying through some cloud. We are 24 miles away, so I'm going to start that right hand turn, slide off, let's go 150 degrees, and to action that we are going to turn off nav mode and turn on heading mode. See, it's now following the desired heading buck. So we are leaving our direct track, and you can see that this will start shifting off to the left, indicating that we are off the direct track. We're going to continue our descent as we start our approach, so this is kind of like doing a downward leg or something, sort of. It's 2,000 feet, so we'll go to about 2,500 feet. Vertical speed, let's get that down to fast 500. We'll arm that, just monitor it visually as we fly along. Keep the engine now right down to minimum, and try and figure out where this airfield actually is. As I say, it is a visual approach. I've got charts in front of me here, but that just shows details of the actual airfield. I'm not really sure where it is in reference to rivers and harbours and cities, etc. So we're kind of playing it by ear quite a bit. I can set it at 4.9. So if I just put that in here, 114. Oops. 0.9. Punch that in like so. Okay, we've got there a directional beacon. .36. Just extend this a little bit long for right hand to give us more time to descend. So we kind of play the numbers. Beacon on nav 2 if we listen to it. So we want to approach it at 30 degrees. This is a little bit different to the HSI that I'm normally used to. So we'll just kind of play it by ear, as we sometimes have to. Okay, 17 miles away. The visibility now is actually quite a bit better than what it was. The visibility was quite limited just before. Oh no, and it's coming back in as we whiteout. And there it is, whiteout. So we're going through mysterious cloud layers. This is something that I'm hoping they're fixing, the way this kind of simulates the cloud. As you can see, that kind of visibility is drawing in and out. This is kind of weird, the way it does that. Heading down towards 5,000 feet, and we're at 5,000 feet now. Track heading for the airfield is 96 degrees. We're on a heading of direct south. Oh, someone's just text messaged me. Okay, we're going to creep around to go to 150 degrees. Just keep that airfield kind of on an angle off to our left. Do a full left turn onto the final approach. Hoping that we actually see where it is that we are going. So if it's about 90 degrees, that's kind of over there. I'll just see if I can make out an airfield. Yeah, that's really popped up. A bit far away still. It's about 16 miles, so it is going to be quite good eyesight to see it. So we are about 4,500 feet. I might just adjust my vertical speed to be 300. Like so. We continue on. Alright, so we'll just prep for landing. We want the tank with the most fuel. Want to get the mixture to be rich, full RPM on the engine for takeoff and landing. Flaps and gear, which we will leave for now because we're still quite make our landing anytime soon. It's still going to be another 6 or 7 minutes. It's down to 80 degrees, 79 degrees. Okay, so we'll start heading towards airfield a bit more, come around to 120 degrees. So we swing around that airfield. Fun doing, getting an aircraft and doing some bush flights, going from remote grassy airfields to others in remote parts of the world. I think that would be pretty cool, particularly if they pay quite well for flights around the economy. We probably don't, but it's not all about money. It's just sort of finding the sort of flights that you like to do and making the money doing it. That's an airfield. Okay. So it's a little waiting game now. It's coming around with 13 miles away. Speed is very good considering we are practically at idle on the engines. 65 degrees. It's over there. So we've got about 35 degrees to run. We just start closing this gap. Get more and more closer. We want to get to about 2,000 feet and say 5 miles away. So I'll just reduce down the desired altitude that we're heading towards. About there. Oh, it's just paused for a second and loaded in an updated weather report from the internet, so you can see the visibility and the cloud cover has changed, and it's not good for me. Considering there's no precision guided landing systems here, the visibility's dropped right down, so it might be kind of see it and land on it seconds later. These things sometimes go, but yeah, we'll see what we can do. Sometimes it takes more than one approach to actually figure out where the airfield physically is, but this is very hazy. Distance 11 miles, direct track heading 50. We've got to come through another degrees or so. Our heading is 120 degrees. I might not turn in just yet. I want to kind of keep that distance about 10-ish miles away. So we're barely heading towards it now. It's off over here. So it really is, we're kind of flying sideways to it. It's at 46. As it gets around to 30 degrees, we'll see it, we'll make that sharp turn, and then we'll be lined up with a lot of space between ourselves and the airfield. 43 degrees. Let's check our speed is still good. Coming through 3,000 feet now. So we want to drop about 1,000 feet. Okay, we're at 39 degrees, so we're getting pretty close to the runway heading. Just double check my figures. Approach 30 degrees, length 9,000 feet, the width 148. So now should be able to service 36 degrees, 35 degrees, start at turn 90, just slow down this, 34 degrees, 33 degrees, pull it right around now, 32 degrees. So we'll do now, we'll pull the engines right back, still descending. Right, 30 degrees, so we're on runway heading approximately. You can see our other system, which is corresponding with the GPS, is showing that I am on, that vertical line is no longer hanging off to the right, meaning that I'm off course. Now pretty much on course, although that is not a precision landing system. It's not an ILS, it's not going to tell me my approach vertically, it's not going to tell me much of anything. What's that? There's lots of little funny things in the ground. Like another airfield. So we're heading towards it. We're kind of on track, probably good enough. We're just going to pull down the speed a little bit. There's no air brakes on this aircraft that I've found anyway. Wouldn't mind sometimes with a rapid approach. But we'll just keep this going. 7 miles. We want to be down about another 400 feet when we get to about 5 miles. So about 2 miles. I think we're pretty much on track enough for that. Down to 120 knots. Let's just keep pulling this back. Check our fuel. RPM. We'll go 1 degree of flaps. You can see the lift there as we get more wing surface area, a bit more drag. Let's pull down the gear. Pull down the speed. We'll go full flaps and we should see an airfield. Please, 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 please. We're slightly off to the right. I see a bridge and traffic with cars. Maybe those cars are heading towards an airfield. This is telling me we're slightly off. So I might just adjust my angle a little bit. What do we have there? Alright, we've got the edge of a runway. Yeah, excellent. Okay, so we'll just take manual control now and plonk it right on there. Do about 80 feet. We'll go full flaps, 80 knots, I should say, not feet. I don't see any panic lights or anything, so just plonk it down over there. So where was that? It's about 4 miles visibility, which is really not that bad. I think I am low at 2,000 feet, it's telling me. Apparently I'm low. So just maintain this altitude like so. Increase the speed to boot because we are no longer descending like we were. Alright, here we are on the glide slope pretty much for this airfield in Thailand. So we're on the glide, so we'll start out to seat E now. Kill the engine power a bit to boot. Just pepper the engine to give us some lift as required. We're just adjusting the attitude of the aircraft to maintain our speed. Around about 80 knots for the approach. So a little bit high, so I'll just throttle down. I'll keep the speed on, so I'll nose down a bit. There we are. So we'll just drop down a bit, I'll get the power back on to lift us up. Still a little high. There we are. Coming down. Alright, final check. Gear down. Just pushing the wings slightly to the left, perhaps for a crosswind. I'll just trim that in for the nose down. We're a little bit slow, so I'm just counteracting that with some nose down. That's perfectly good for a landing now, so the decision is obviously to land. And we'll just go for the rear wheels touching down first. And there we are, that's the engine to idle. Lose all the speed, and we don't use the brakes, we'll just roll this out as best we can. So we don't have hot brakes, at least in real life. And that's pretty much it. Flight Simulator Economy, X-Plane 10, this is Thailand. Flying around, trying to get this aircraft all the way to Australia, so we can do some jobs around that part. So this has been a pretty good test with my new RAM, running at 2400 megahertz, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and my GTX 680 with 4 gigabytes of video RAM. Looks like it's smoothed out the frames per second quite significantly. I'm just going to touch the right brake and we can take this taxiway exit. I don't think there's any real airport that's been loaded, but it is something which is coming. There's a open source tool which is loading airport detail for all the airports around the world. Something I don't really know how to do, but I'd love to do it if I could. Cool, so thanks for watching. My name's Lindemann, and this is X-Plane 10.